Imagine you are standing in your kitchen, holding a carton of milk. You probably think you paid for the liquid, the plastic, and the labor of a farmer. You didn't. You paid for a global clock to keep ticking. 3,000 miles away, a steel giant the size of the Empire State Building turned 3 degrees to the left. It's a bank of soft mud. The engines groan, the water churn, and then, silence. A single ship is stuck. It seems like a localized traffic jam. A maritime oops. But within 48 hours, the price of the milk in your hand begins to shift. Not because the milk is gone, but because the ghost of the global economy has been disturbed. This is the story of our world became so efficient that it turned into a glass house. And why a single gust of wind in a desert canal can bankrupt a business in Ohio. Let's talk about the Suez Canal. It is a narrow, man-made slit in the earth that handles 12% of everything human buy and sell. When a ship like the Ever Given wedges itself across that slit, it doesn't just stop ship. It stop time. Most people think of the global economy as our house. We imagine giant pile of grain, row of cars, and stack of electronics waiting to be booked. That world died in the 1970s. We replaced it with something called just-in-time manufacturing. We decided that holding inventory was a waste of money. Why pay for a warehouse when the ocean can be your warehouse? Your new car isn't sitting in a low, ETS computer ships are on a boat in the Indian Ocean, ETS leather is on a truck in Italy, and ETS frame is being welded in Mexico. They are all scheduled to meet at the factory at exactly 9h du matin on a Tuesday. This is the peak of human genius. It is also a suicide pact. When that ship gets stuck, the factory in Mexico doesn't just slow down. It dies. The workers are sent home. The leader sit in the sun. The computer ships stay trapped behind a wall of steel in the Red Sea. Now, back to your milk. You might think your milk is local. It came from a farm 50 miles away. But the cow it grain that traveled by sea. The plastic for the jug was refined using chemical that moved through a bottleneck. The fuel for the delivery truck is priced based on a global market that is currently panicking because tankers are idling in the Mediterranean. The price goes up because of a concept called scarcity of certainty. In finance, we don't price things based on what they are worth today. We price them based on what we think they will be worth tomorrow. When the canal closes, the tomorrow become a question mark. And the market at a question marks. The math of this is brutal. Every hour that ship stays stuck, $400 million of trade evaporate. It's not just delayed, it's gone. Because the ship behind it are burning fuel they didn't plan to burn. The fruit inside them is rotting. The seasonal clothes are missing their window. The system is so tightly wound that there is no slack. In physics, slack is what prevents a rope from snapping under tension. In economics, slack is what we purged to make stock go up. We traded resilience for 2% more profit. The irony is that we built this ship big to save money. A big ship carry more container, which makes each individual item cheaper to move. It's the logic of the bulk buy. But we forgot that a large ship is also a large levée. When it fell with the weight of 22,000 trailers. We are told that the global market is a sophisticated, self-correcting machine. We are told that the invisible hand manages the flow of good with godlike precision. But the reality is much more fragile. The entire illusion of our modern, high-speed life rests on the hope that a tired captain doesn't catch a crosswind in a sandy ditch. The hype says we are more connected than ever. The reality is that we are more dependent than ever. There is a difference. Connection is a choice, dependence is a trap. As the days pass with the ship stuck, the ripple turn into wave. Insurance companies start taking rat. Shipping firm start rerouting around the Cape of Good Hope, adding weeks and millions in fuel cost to every journey. These costs are never absorbed by the company. They are passed down, filtered through the system, until they land on the price tag of your milk. We live in a world where the butterfly effect is no longer a metaphor. It is a logistical reality. A sandstorm in Egypt is a price hike in London. A mechanical failure in the Pacific is a job loss in Germany. The system worked perfectly until it didn't. And when it didn't, we realized we had no plan B. We had optimized ourselves into a corner. We built a world where everything is everywhere, but nothing is truly here. So, look at that milk again. It isn't just a drink. It is a miracle of coordination, a feat of engineering, and a fragile promise that the world will keep moving. But how you put it back in the fridge? Ask yourself a question that most economists try to ignore. If our entire way of life can be brought to a halt by one ship and a bit of mud, how much control do we actually have over our own lives? We spent a century building a global machine that is faster, cheaper, and bigger than anything in history. We just forgot to check if we could actually stop it without breaking it. The ship eventually moved. The canal opened. The price eventually stabilized. But the crack in the glass remained. We now know that the clock we all live by isn't powered by a battery. It's balanced on a tightrope. And the wind is starting to pick up. Would you like me to develop a detailed visual storyboard to accompany this script, specifying exactly what should be on screen during each narrative beat?